so well about
There we
this.
go. Okay, so real quick to kind of sum up where we were. The Pentateuch, 5 books, Pentateuch, the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Those first 5 books, almost all the scholars believe Moses wrote most of those books. Now there's some parts of that Moses obviously didn't write, like Moses died. So somebody appended what Moses wrote. But these first 5 books were written by Moses after the Passover, the Exodus from Egypt, while they were at Mount Sinai and during the wandering in the wilderness. That's when Moses wrote these first 5 books of the Bible. So that's the first part. Now you have the Nevi'im. And you have the former prophets, Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings. Our Bible has 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings. And then you have what's called the latter prophets. And this 3 and 12 is all over Scripture. Okay? But the latter prophets are made up of 3 big name prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. And then the 12, the Hebrew Bibles, they call them the 12. And it just combines these 12 books into one big collection. So you've got the 3 and the 12. Remember the 3 in the last video that we saw was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob had 12 sons. So you're going to see this 3-12 pattern a lot. Then you have the writings, the Ketuvim. These are history and poetry. So you've got Psalms, Proverbs, Job, Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, Chronicles. A couple of things that they don't tell you frequently. Esther is the only book of the Bible that does not mention God anywhere in Esther. But you can see God's providential hand, and they talk about, praying for me, but there's no place in Esther that talks about Yahweh God. But it's an excellent story, and it's the story that's the basis of the Jewish festival called Purim. Pur is like lots, I think is what it's for, where basically this was the first Holocaust that almost happened. And Esther is the one that prevented that from happening. Chronicles, in the Old Testament, in our Bibles, Chronicles is earlier in the Old Testament. In the Jewish writings, Chronicles is the last book in their collection. They've moved it to the end. And the reason is Chronicles goes back, almost all the stories that you read in Kings, some books that are in Samuel, some of those stories, they're all retold here. Some of them word for word. But what happened as they were writing these Chronicles, the last book of the Old Testament, the scribes were like, we've really messed up because we ended up in exile. And so they retell all those stories, highlighting the places where the prophets, priests, and kings really messed up, and that's why they were in exile. So they're retelling the story, highlighting the failures of the prophets, priests, and kings that got them into exile. Okay, so before we get to the New Testament, and this is in my book. We're not going to be looking at my book in these 7 weeks. But there's a meta-narrative. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So we'll record it. So
Thank you.
There is a meta-narrative of the Bible. It's not just 66 books all put together. The Bible tells one story from beginning to end. And if we don't understand that one story, a lot of the pieces in the Bible don't make sense. We don't understand why they're there. So this is a story about the story of the Bible.
The Bible